It's showtime.
Hello and welcome back to Musical Lyrical Lingo, episode 6. We're your hosts, Tim
and LJ. Today and every week we will be talking musicals and specifically what they taught us.
But listen, our avid listeners know that already, Lauren, don't they?
They do. They do. But here, thank you for your stories so far. But please make sure you keep sending us them.
Keep them coming.
Yeah,
keep them coming.
Funny ones.
We know there's some out there that have not been sent in yet. Listen, if we have embarrassed ourselves with our bum stories, then there's no stopping you lot. So get them into us, please.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
did I sound like a school teacher there? Like it was given off to them?
School teacher.
Yeah, but not in my downtime, Lauren. Not in my downtime.
You can't escape the school teacher. It's in you.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I try. It doesn't work then. Monday morning comes round and I go back again.
Yeah, going back. Well, you doing okay?
I'm doing great. Thanks very much.
Good. Excited to be back for another week.
Yeah, genuinely, these episodes are becoming therapy to me. It's just lovely to kind of sit and think about nothing other than musical theatre for an hour every week. It's great fun.
It is.
And what about you?
Yeah, all good. But I agree with you. I just love talking about musical theatre.
Yeah.
I just realise how special it is.
And they're still listening in Canada, so we must be doing something right.
I know, and the Philippines now.
I love it. International.
We are. Just need some more people in Australia. So anybody in Australia, if you want to give us a little listen, that would be great.
What are we like? Lauren loves her statistics. She's all over this.
I do.
I just come in each week and go, well, how are we doing? And Lauren rattles off the figures, the facts and the figures. No, but genuinely, we appreciate everyone who's given us a listen and for sticking with us. I expected the numbers to drop after episode 1, but they haven't. No. So keep it up, folks. Keep it up.
You love us. You really, really love us.
Well, we need to calm ourselves down. Okay. But if you could spread the word, that would be brilliant. You know,
we would appreciate.
Get us out there. See what we can do. How far we can reach.
Well, shall we move on to today's?
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to introduce today's musical, aren't you?
So, today's musical is Godspell.
Yeah, a really different one for the podcast, I think. I don't think we've had a musical like Godspell yet, have we?
No, because it was very of its time. Yeah.
And I don't think there's a huge number of musicals out there like it.
No.
Even now, with, new musicals being written, I think it still kind of stands on its own, really, doesn't it?
It does.
Do you want to tell us a wee bit about it?
I shall. So Godspell is a musical composed by Stephen Schwartz.
Oh, I've heard his name before.
Yeah, with book by John Michael Tabalik. I think that's how you say it.
I am so glad you're doing this introduction and not me.
Okay, so it's primarily based on the Gospel of Matthew from the Bible, with music set to lyrics from traditional hymns, and you can probably tell that from the music.
Yeah, if you know your hymns and you know your Bible stories.
So the show features 8 non-biblical characters who sing out the parables, like the stories that Jesus would have told. And what I love is that, yes, there is a Christ character and there's a John and a Judas character, but they aren't always given the Christ/John Judas name. Yeah. They're often given the name of the actor who is playing said roles. Yeah. So it was written in the 1970s and it was off Broadway first in 1971. At the same time, it was in London in 1971, so you don't often find that. Sometimes it starts off in Broadway or starts off in the West End and then it takes maybe a couple of years.
And then transfers
over. Yeah. It didn't get to Broadway until 1976, which was actually, that's 5 years.
Yeah.
and then the film came before that, which was 1973.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, the film's something I know very little about.
No,
Like,
I don't even think I've seen it.
Yeah, well, I think I've seen bits of it, but it just didn't take me the way the show did.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of stopped. I was like, nah, it's not really for me. So I almost forgot there was a film of this.
Yeah, yeah. It's only been revived 3 times.
Okay.
And one of the times that it was revived was in 2020.
Okay.
So this was revived by the Berkshire Theatre Group. And they were the first live show to be approved by the Actors Equity Association during COVID-19 because they performed it in a tent in a parking lot.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that such a cool fact?
Oh, and what a lovely moment in history for the show and the people involved after such a hard time when, let's be honest, that industry and the poor people who were part of that industry and worked within that industry, I have no idea how they got through it in one piece. It must have been the most horrendous. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was horrendous for all of us and for lots of people. And we know that people, you know, families were really affected by it. But it affected lots of people in lots of different ways. And if that was your job, if your job was performing, these folk were left with nothing. Like they had nothing. They had to go and get another job to be able to get through this thing that nobody knew how long it was going to go on.
That's it. And nobody could see a way of theatre surviving it, you know, because theatre is you're in either a small theatre or a large theatre, doesn't matter, you're in an enclosed space and you're sitting down and there's people in front of you and you have to be in close proximity to people, whether you're an audience member or you're the actor on stage. So I love that they were able to do this in a tent in a parking lot. Now it only ran for about 6, maybe 8 weeks, but still it was the very first show that was
good for them, because even that, the hoops and the protocols that they would have had to jump through even when doing that. I remember the first show I did back that I choreographed after COVID, like the risk assessments and the protocols and what you were and weren't allowed to do in a rehearsal space. And you know, when we eventually got into the theatre, we did it in the theatre. Like it was like jumping through hoops of fire. Like it was like, is this even going to happen? Like, is this doable?
And probably for people who maybe weren't as strong or that push through power, you know, probably would have given up. But it just really shows you how theatre folk have that belief and that want to keep going and share the love of theatre.
Stiff upper lip and carry on.
Carry on. Keep going.
Yeah, good on them. Like literally, we know quite a few people who are involved in the industry, and like it was horrible. Yeah. It was horrible. Yeah. That's such an interesting fact about Godspell. I didn't know, Lauren.
I know.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Very good.
That is Godspell. So,
special story for a special show, in my opinion. I think this show is, as I said, it's out there on its own. It's a very special piece without getting too heavy. No. But it's a really beautiful special piece.
Yeah. What did you learn from it?
Okay. Oh my goodness.
I know you're going to go first.
This is the episode it all falls apart because I'm giving my musical lyrical lingos first. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, okay. I feel it's right.
Well, in my opinion, you know, I went to church, you know, every Sunday when I was younger. I did Sunday school. I was a lovely wee chorister in the church choir. You were. You know, but of all of that, genuinely, I believe Godspell taught me my parables the best. And I knew my parables more because of being involved in Godspell. I was in Godspell when I was the tender age of 9.
Oh,
so the first time we ever did it, I was 9. So it was an education. You know, I was still learning an awful lot of parables at that time. And I think it's probably speaks volumes for the type of learner I am, in that I have to be doing to learn. And I'm also a very visual learner, I think, because we were in rehearsals and, you know, the show is made up of parables, you know, one parable after the other, but done in quirky and cool and alternative ways. It just helped those parables sink into my head, you know, and I can still remember how we did certain parables in the show.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so that's what I learned. It was, this sounds awful, and please don't kill me, but it was better than reading the Bible.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
reading them in the Bible because you were doing them and you were acting them out. And so I learnt my parables. So RE in school was easy because I had already done them as part of being involved in Godspell.
That's amazing, isn't it?
So that's basically what it taught me, the Bible and my parables. There's a few songs where there are a few wee words that I didn't know. So there's a great song called Bless the Lord, and it says, He will not always chide, one of the lines is. So chide, C-H-I-D-E, and chide means to scold or rebuke. So, you know, Christ won't scold you or rebuke you. That's a hard word to say.
It
rebuke.
is, yeah. Rebuke.
And ready to abate, A-B-A-T-E. I didn't know what that was. And that's to become less intense or widespread. So his word isn't going to diminish and get less intense. You know, it's going to still be out there. Another song is called Alas for You. Lawyers and Pharisees, hypocrites that you be. There's a line called where they mention Viper's Brood. And Viper's Brood are those people who are filled with malice. Okay. They're the Viper's Brood, which I didn't know. Sages in rages. I didn't know what sages were. Sages is someone who is distinguished for their wisdom or sound judgment. So these people full of wisdom and sound judgment were raging or in rages with things that were being said about, you know, Jesus and all the gossip that was going around about him. We beseech thee, hear us. One of my favourite songs in it. I didn't know what beseech meant.
I had this too.
Yeah. Well, I'll save it for you then, will I?
Wow.
Okay. We'll come back to beseech thee later. And then in is it the same? No, in another musical song, they sing about we hang up our lyres, isn't it? Lyres, and I didn't know that was a musical instrument. Yeah. So there we go.
Very good.
That's what I learned.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Basically, my parables. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and
clear as day because of Godspell.
Yeah, and like you say, because of the way they're told. Yeah. So, and probably at age 9, so I have a 9-year-old now, and that is a time when you are very inquisitive, and you are at that stage where you're really learning, and if you're interested in something, it's going to stick in your mind.
And you know what, Lauren, like, because I've done it twice, so I did it obviously when I was 9, and then I came back to it in
2003.
Yeah, I was about to say 2003. Very different experiences, because I think at the time when I was 9, I didn't realise what they were. I did, but not to the same depth. I was like, oh, I'm in a show. Yeah. Like, I'm doing a show. This is so much fun. And it was only when we returned to it, it was like, oh, but like the way these parables are being told is just so special and so cool. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's funny doing the same show, but 2 different times in my life, how different they felt. Yeah. It was almost like a different show. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because there was more depth to it.
Sure, a different age. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, so my musical lyrical lingos this week. So the very first song is sort of told by sang by different characters throughout.
What song
history.
Is this? Is this the Tower of Babel?
Yes.
So that wasn't in our version. Do you remember? We didn't do that.
No, but whenever I have, like, obviously you listen to the soundtrack. Yeah. So it was only whenever I looked at their lyrics, and I was like, who's singing this and who's singing that? And I obviously didn't remember this part, but it was Thomas Aquinas, who is an Italian Dominican friar priest. And the reason that they used him is because of Christian theology, and just he influenced the Roman Catholic doctrine for centuries. So it was just interesting that they were taken to sort of open up the show.
Right, okay.
So that was the first person.
Very good.
Then in Learn Your Lessons, which whenever we did it, which we'll talk about, is the song that I sang.
I was going to say, you did that one, didn't you?
I sang that. So I did actually have to know sort of what I was singing. And it was Swath of Sinners. So I didn't know what that word swath meant. And it's just a broad area. Okay. It just means like a lot. An ascension, like that meant the action of rising to an important position or a higher level. And then the word beseech from... Even whenever, like, I say that, that must have been a dance move.
It was.
There was a wee bounce there. Because no matter what, I always do that.
Because that was the number that we went into, like, doing a band. Like, because we just started all singing, like, random noises. Wah, 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 wah. And then another group came in with another, like, and we all had our own wee, like...
That is right.
Some of us were the keyboard and others were like guitars and stuff.
People are raging that this is not videoed because what we are doing right now is
this will not
questionable.
Be full on dance routine in the front room.
But yes, beseech means to ask someone urgently.
Yeah.
But and what a great word.
Brilliant word.
Why do we not use this in everyday life?
It's like many words that are in these wonderful musicals. The vocabulary is the vocabulary in Godspell is sublime.
Yeah.
Like, it's brilliant. If any of my P7s were to use half of the vocabulary that's in the show, I'd be loving them. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to try and bring back beseech.
All right.
I don't know how, but I'm going to do it.
I look forward to hearing how that goes in future episodes.
And then also just a little mention, the song Turn Back, O Man.
Oh, big in the back too. Turn back.
What a song.
Oh man.
But I wasn't first introduced to that in Godspell. I was first introduced to that and it has been killing me. We used to do the pantomimes in the Grand Opera House. And I did 4 Christmas pantomimes and 4 summer pantomimes.
Yeah.
And
that's a dying breed, isn't it? Summer pantomimes, they don't have them anymore.
So, which is actually the time pantomimes were originally.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, Turn Back, O Man was in one of our summer pantomimes.
Oh, wow, right.
And I think it was Kate O'Mara sang it. But I can't remember, was it in Snow White or Beauty and the Beast or Wizard of Oz?
I couldn't help you because
I
never did a panto with Kate O'Mara.
Oh no, I was going to say you did do summer pantomimes.
Oh yeah, no I did, but not with Kate O'Mara, so I mustn't have been in that one.
No, I can't remember, but that was, I first heard it. But then whenever I'm thinking of those, I know I said I did 4 summer pantomimes, I think we did one of them twice, I can't remember. I can't remember what role somebody would be singing Turn Back, O Man. But it was definitely a summer pantomime.
Like an evil queen.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was more that. And there was a feather boa.
Yeah.
And it was just before we came on for a dance number, so we were always watching it at the side of the stage. Hopefully one of our listeners who was probably involved in those summer pantomimes will remember.
Trigger a memory.
But it was only then as I went to, whenever I was in Godspell, I was like, I know this song because it was in a pantomime. And that would have happened a lot. Actually, there would have been songs in pantomimes that were taken from other musicals, and then you only knew it whenever you actually came to the said musical.
And now pantos, they just take pop songs, don't they? Yeah.
It's a bit miserable.
Yeah. It's bound to have been something like Snow White. Like an evil queen would have sung something like that, because don't they? The evil queen's always trying to flirt with the prince.
Yeah.
And in this, in Godspell, it was all about this temptation. This woman trying to, flirt with Jesus, who kept us cool.
Yeah. So yeah, they were my musical lyrical lingos.
Brilliant.
So yeah, but I think whenever we did it, your dad taught us a lot.
Yeah. It's because I suppose both times that I did Godspell, it was kind of affiliated with the church.
Yeah.
Certainly the first time, it was very. It was almost like a church thing when the one that I did when I was 9. You know, everybody in the cast was in the congregation in our church. You know, it was. I think it was just an idea that Dad had, and he was like, "Listen, why don't we do it?" The person who played Jesus, or the character who took on or represented Jesus, was actually our minister, and he, like, you could listen to him for days anyway when he would have done a sermon. It wouldn't have been like, "Oh, I'm falling asleep, pass me the sweets." Like, he was just so mesmerizing as a person, the way he spoke, and he was brilliant in the show. And it was a very tight, small group, and I even remember we rehearsed in the church. Like, they pulled the pews back and we rehearsed in the church. And then the second time we did it, it was still with this kind of the same affiliation, in that half of the cast were still people involved, who went to the church. And then, you know, the other half were people who were joining, like, an amateur dramatics company. Because, you know, Dad had set it up as an amateur company. But it still had that same feel. I think that's why it was really special, because it meant so much to the people who were involved. It wasn't just coming for a song and dance. I don't think you could approach it like that. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely not.
Yeah. I just remember it was really special, and there were certain moments in the show of just pure beauty. Like, it was just, some of the stuff was just beautiful.
Yeah, and I think your Dad took a lot of time, and I think that's just his direction style anyway. But just took a lot of time with each and every person to make sure that they felt comfortable. So whether they had come from attending church every week or being part of that church, or, you know, maybe just didn't know the parables at all. And I remember a very specific moment there at the very end, just as Christ is, the character is going to his final moment, and
he's being crucified,
and I find that very heartbreaking. But there was only a select number of us were going to be on stage at that time, and I know that for some of us that would be involved in that, we would have found that quite difficult. So for me personally, I'm just going to speak about me, is I had somebody that I knew had died the previous year. So it was quite an emotive song, and your Dad took a lot of time with those people that he had selected and knew that the music was going to create some emotion. And I really remember being like, wow, that person knew that was going to maybe affect different people in different ways, and just let those emotions come out. And I think that made it very special too, because you then weren't just on stage acting, you know, or just listening to somebody sing a song. You were really feeling like you were in that moment, and you were taking that time to reflect and maybe think about somebody that you had lost, or maybe just think of a sad moment in life.
It brought truth to the piece too, though, didn't it? And I think it's things like that when I say it was just a really special show. I think it's because of that. It's because of the people involved, the connections, beliefs. You know. Yeah, it was just really special. I do remember also, though, with that last bit, that after that beautiful moment on stage, there was an almighty marathon to get from where the stage was.
That's right.
Out of the building.
Yep.
Because it was another one that was done in like a tech building, wasn't it? Out of the building, running around the outside, whether it was rain, hail, sleet or snow, to then make the joyful entrance again, because, you know, that happens and it's really sad and a memorable moment, and then it explodes with life again, because, you know, we all know what happens, you know, with Jesus. Come back to life and resurrection, and the show ends with that big burst of energy, but everybody made their entrance from the back of the hall through the audience, so you had this tender moment on stage, and then everybody leaves and then it's literally all hell breaks loose as people are like running for all their to be
I know.
where they need to be on time,
Yeah.
which makes me laugh.
I know.
And
But
I'm
there was
like-
a lot of that in that, because you were maybe at one side of the stage and then you had to, you know, because maybe certain people were selected. I do remember feeling that the show was very frantic.
Because it was.
Well, yeah, you know, so, and there are different entrances at
Yeah.
different places, but...
And it was one of those shows where a lot of us were on stage a lot of the time. Like, there was
Yeah.
very little off-stage time.
No.
I remember it was all scaffolding, wasn't it, with different levels and stuff, and you were on a lot.
Yeah,
of the
you
time.
were, and you were watching what was going on, and
Yeah.
it was great.
It
It was
was-
a really good,
Yeah,
really good
I
performance.
just remember the marathon moment of crisis, like going,
Yeah.
we've got to get to the back in
Yeah.
time. I also remember the costumes. The costumes were super
Oh
fun for
my
that show.
goodness, I'm so excited that you spoke about the costumes.
Why?
Like, the costumes were so much fun.
Tell the people about the costumes.
Do you know, and also I was going to ask you this, was this a decision that your dad had said? Everybody got involved in making their own costumes. Now,
Yeah.
I would always have been involved in some way. I cannot sew to save myself, but my mum would have made a lot of
Yeah.
costumes. But I do very specifically remember writing. So the idea was that we all had like wacky clothing, and then we all had different words put on us.
Yeah.
And as the show went on, those words were taken off.
Yeah.
So Mum, for me and my sister who were in the show, we had scrap pieces of material, and then we used glue gun to write the words. So I remember being involved that way.
Yeah.
And everybody's costumes looked homemade,
Yeah.
but it was great.
I think that was the point, wasn't it? I
Yeah.
think it was unique to that person. The things that were on your costume,
Yeah.
you put on,
Yeah.
and they were personable to you, like symbols and signs and and words.
Yeah.
And I think that was all part of it. I think that's why I love this show, and I've seen a production of it in the last couple of years, and it verified how I felt about
Okay.
it, in that it's an open book, and I think actually on the first page of the script, it kind of basically says so, like, this is for you to do as you want to do it. Do you
Okay.
know? So things like costuming and staging and how you tell the parables is completely up to you and a creative decision, which I think's super exciting.
Yeah.
So, like, the last production I saw of it was so different
Okay.
from how we did it, but yet was still so fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think so things like that and costumes, it was an open book. You
Yeah.
could do what you wanted as long as it was colourful and eye-catching and meant something to you.
Yeah. It was. I
But,
just
like-
remember searching for loads of. I had this
Yeah.
really cool like headband, and my hair was super wacky.
Yeah.
My sister was sort of similar, and just loving the costume. And
And
it
we're
probably
quite-
was bits of our own clothing just
Yeah,
put
no,
on different
100%.
ways.
And I remember, like the first time I did it, because my costume the second time
Yes,
was
was very
slightly
boring.
different. The first time round, like, we spray painted like
Okay.
symbols on like really colourful t-shirts and stuff like that. But then the second time when we did it in 2003, I played John the Baptist and Judas, and I had to wear a black shirt with a white collar.
Yeah.
That sounds like a white collar isn't like a ministry
No.
collar. It wasn't. It was just like a...
Yeah.
And I did feel a wee bit like, oh, they're all in like lovely,
Yeah,
colourful,
but-
nice stuff. And
But
I'm
it
in
was
this.
good as well because we were so colourful and bright and really like happy and
Yeah.
living in the moment and all of that. And then it was like, oh, your character is somebody
Yeah.
very different. It
I
gave
know.
that. It did give that across.
I did feel like left out a wee bit the
Aw.
second time round.
Oh,
I mean, it was lovely to play that part, apart from that awful opening note.
Oh.
So we didn't do the song that Lauren was talking about earlier in our musical Lyrical Lingo, the Tower of Babel. So we just opened with a number called Pre-E,
yep.
Prepare Ye the Way of the Lord. And the first note's like a high pre or something up
Yep.
there. And the anxiety I had every night about because also there was no music. It was
Yeah,
like
that's
a
right.
cappella.
A cappella,
Like
yeah.
I just had to come in, and again we were coming from the back.
I was going to say, definitely walk through the audience for that.
And it was just like, well, will I get it right tonight, or will I totally fluff this note and start the song for everybody flat or in the wrong key, because I had to do the whole first verse a cappella, and then the music kicked in and everybody joined. So if I was in the wrong key, you were all snookered.
Yeah.
I don't think I did it too bad.
I think you're
I
fine.
had it every so often. I had a like wee fluffy at the beginning. But yeah, no, I remember like the number of times I swallowed before
just to
opening
make sure you're lubricated.
my gob to say that note. So I remember that. I also remember the tuck shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The tuck shop.
I mean, we did it properly, didn't we?
Yeah, but your mum was in charge of that, wasn't she? Yeah. And your mum's tuck shop was definitely infamous.
Yeah, like, so we had the giant strawberries, the fizzy laces, like, that was the highlight of
Shows.
And the rehearsal period, the break when we all went to the tuck shop.
Yeah, definitely.
It was great. It was really good fun.
Well, I have a little surprise.
Oh?
Are you excited?
Yeah, and scared.
Okay, so my in my mum and dad's house there is a musical review of Godspell.
Our Godspell.
Our Godspell, which is was in the Spectator, Thursday the 30th of January 2003. So this literally is 20 years old.
Don't be reading it out now unless it's good.
I am going to read it out. I maybe skip some bits, but this is so. My mum probably would have kept a lot more. My dad really does not keep very much. So I don't know why this review. It's just in one random drawer in my dad's house.
Oh, but what a lovely thing to have.
I know, it's lovely.
I didn't know about this, by the way.
Okay,
folks.
and there's also a funny story along with this too.
Oh, Lord.
So this is great. So I'm going to read this out.
Brace,
So it says, musical review, Godspell is testament to community spirit.
Yay.
Okay. So it says, on such a wet and windy night as Tuesday, the opening of Upstage Downstage production of Godspell still managed to pull in a full house at North Down College. The group, which is based at St Columbanus Church in Ballyholme, gave the illusion of a well-oiled machine with a show which is a fine testament to community spirit, following on from past successes such as Anything Goes, Crazy for You and 42nd Street. Pulling together a large cast of over 30 young people, there was a real sense of how much fun they were all having with this colourful show based on the Gospel according to St Matthew. In many ways, there was a very professional feel to Godspell, from the specifically embroidered t-shirts many organisers wore to the polished lightning system operated by Peter Jones. The show also incorporated multimedia with projected words from some of our greatest thinkers and images of people from remote villages in Africa. The costumes, Eleanor Bell, Natalie McClurg and Margaret Hagan. Makeup, Melanie Smith, Laura Larkin, Sally Ann Rainey, and hair, Timothy Smith and Laura Larkin. Teams did a fantastic job given the size of the cast. It was a Technicolor spectacle. We even had a sizable proportion of the cast performing a tap number in top hat tails and fishnets.
I remember that number. We'll come to that in a minute.
Choreographers Kirsty Smith and Vivian McMaster must have had a tough task in moulding the large numbers into their various dance routines, but the cast clearly reacted with eagerness. Situated on an elevated corner of the stage, the Godspell musicians Patrick Baird, Michael Newman, Carl Harvey and Ian Bell did a very professional job.
Very professional job.
It would only be too easy to pick holes in this show, but that would be entirely miss the point. With such a young amateur cast, what you lose in experience you gain in the sheer enthusiasm and energy that was displayed on stage on Tuesday night. Godspell gave many cast members a crack at taking centre stage, which was rather democratic. And there were some pleasant voices as well. My favourites were Sarah Jane Smith and Light of Your World and Lauren McClurg in Learn Your Lessons Well. She may have been feeling the nerves, but young Caitlin McClurg was a joy to watch. While there were relatively few fluffed lines and missed cues, I have to say the sound quality could have been better.
Oh.
I missed a lot of the dialogue because of this on Tuesday night, but I'm quite sure these technical difficulties have since been ironed out. Stage designers...
Sorry, 2 seconds. Never come and see a show, an amateur show, on opening night.
No.
Never do it.
No.
Carry on.
Stage designers Robin and Peter Jones set up a stage dominant by a striking illuminated cross resting against a backdrop of the scriptures torn against a deep blue expanse. Incidentally inspirational for this musical arose on Easter Sunday during sunrise service when John Michael Tabelek, a long-haired student at Carnegie Mellon University, was stopped and frisked for drugs by a Pittsburgh policeman in the nave of St. Paul's Cathedral. A candidate for a Master of Fine Arts degree, Tabelek was required to direct a production of a classic or a period piece for his thesis, and he wrote Godspell, which went on to become a Broadway smash.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's a brilliant review.
Now, this
very
review
good.
was in our local paper.
Yeah.
And on opening night, my dad actually went to see it on opening night, probably to get it over and done with, so he didn't have to,
Yeah.
wait until the Saturday to come and see it.
Yeah.
And obviously my name is mentioned in it, and my sister's name is mentioned in it.
Oh, that's why it's in that
It's
drawer.
probably. But I remember your mum saying to my dad, "Did you bribe the person?"
That would be my mum. That would have been my mum.
Because nobody else is mentioned in
No,
that.
certainly I wasn't mentioned, that's for sure. I must have fluffed my opening note.
So that I always love looking at that review and then just thinking, and I love that our mums are mentioned in that as well.
That is very
It's
special.
very, very cute.
That's a lovely wee surprise. You kept that one quiet, didn't
I know.
Funny, they're talking about that tap number. That tap number was also the number where I had to sing my first ever patter song.
Okay, yes.
So, like, a patter song is where you have to fit a lot of words into very little music, and it normally goes very fast. And honestly, so that was actually, this show was just filled with anxiety for me. I'm realising. Okay, this has turned into a therapy session.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I was like, you see, if I trip up on one of those lines, we're snookered. But we did it whilst tap dancing. Gee, thanks, Vivian.
It was good fun though.
It was great fun. It was a great show. And a lot of what we've talked about there, the community spirit, the people involved, the colour,
vibrant
the
colours,
costumes. That reviewer saw that too.
Yeah.
That's really lovely.
I know, isn't it really
love
nice?
that.
It is. It's just lovely that, like you said, that was able to be emanated on stage there and people sing it.
It's just a really special show, and I think it's an undervalued show. I'm not so sure, although it seems to be getting a little bit of a reprieval now. I see it popping up in more.
Really? Okay.
I do see it. Some youth groups and stuff seem to be looking at it a wee bit more now, whereas it probably would never have been on their radar.
Yeah,
before.
I think because Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, and I also think probably the composer, Stephen Schwartz, he has done a lot more. He's done Wicked.
Yeah.
Like, Wicked is so huge. And I wonder if sometimes people go, oh, Wicked, Stephen Schwartz. Oh, he also did this show and this show. Yeah. He did Hunchback of Notre Dame too. Well, was it the lyrics of Hunchback he did? I think he did the lyrics.
Okay.
I might be completely wrong there.
I'm not sure.
Alan Menken definitely did the music.
Yeah.
But I think no, not Hunchback, it's Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt, yeah.
Do you ever do that? You have something in your head and you say something completely wrong.
Yeah.
Prince of Egypt, he did, which was turned into a musical recently too. So I wonder if that's why you're starting to see it a wee bit more. Yeah. But it should be done more often.
No, it should.
It's brilliant.
It is, but I do think it's very of the time. You can tell it was done in the 70s.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah.
I think it's like that. It's a bit like Hair.
Okay, yeah. Not a fan of
No,
Hair.
I'm not a fan of Hair, but I am a fan of Godspell.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people shy away from it because it's more parable
the
based
religious aspect
of the
it.
religion.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But I think, if it's certainly like that on the script where you can play it whatever way you want.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Then people can turn it into, a
What they
modern
want.
day
Yeah.
story or storytelling.
And it's just sheer joy from start to finish with important
Yeah.
messages.
Yeah.
And some of the songs are if you're listening properly, they
Yeah.
should land and they should hit you,
Yeah.
and you should go, oh, actually,
Yeah. And there's
fair
some
enough, that's a good point to be made, or that's
really slow ballad songs. There's that heart-wrenching, like it's only 9 lines or something, oh God, I'm
Yeah.
dying.
that last 5 minutes is
Yeah.
full on.
Yeah. And then you have some real upbeat, like, and you're like at a party, and I suppose it's a really good way of life.
Yeah.
There's ups, there's downs, and there's times where you're going to have a whole load of people around you, and then there's
Yeah.
some times where it is going to be a bit more intimate depending on what situation you have in your life.
And catchy, like there's a lot of the songs you whistle for days and days and days, day by day,
Day
by
by
day,
day, by day.
That's a song for anybody that doesn't know the musical. Yeah, I know it's brilliant, and it is nice to see it a wee bit more, because it's a special one. Do you have any standing ovations for it?
I actually don't.
No.
No, I just would love to see the whole show get a bigger revival. So like I said, the last one was in 2020.
Yeah.
But it only ran for a short period of time.
Okay.
And I think all of the productions have been the 70s, 80s. There was maybe only one in the 90s, and then that in 2020.
Okay.
So I feel that people need to relook at it.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
the whole the show as one big, fantastic night out at the theatre,
Yeah.
where you would certainly have pure entertainment.
And when you say big revival, do you mean big production?
Yeah,
So do you think it would work on a bigger scale production?
I do think it
Do
would.
you see? I think it works when it's intimate and small, and the audience is close to the action, and the action's close. Immersive theatre that we were talking about last podcast, in my opinion, would be perfect for it. So it'd be interesting. How would you do it on a big scale? Have you got you have great ideas for...
Yeah, probably if I was doing it on a grander scale, it would be very immersive. It would be that people are involved, like sitting down in the theatre, and then all of a sudden that story is told beside you, and then it's moved and it's, behind you. That was another thing in the production that we were in, and it was mentioned in that review, was the technology. And whenever I sang Learn Your Lessons Well, you don't even have them anymore. You would just use your phone, have video camera. And I was able to come on stage, sing the song, and then zoom in on people in the audience. And then they were projected on. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Loved it, because
listening to the review, I didn't even remember the technical aspect.
yeah. And
that
for
was
me,
involved.
as somebody who would be very nervous before they get on stage for a singing role, that was great. It was a great distraction.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really good distraction.
That would have added to I would have been going, I'm having to sing and control a camcorder.
No, because then I was able to go, who am I going to choose? And I'll zoom in, and and usually, whenever it was 20 years ago, so I was 16, I was probably trying to find somebody that I knew in the audience each night and zooming in on them. But even that was like entertaining, and
it
a little
took your
bit
mind
different
off the singing aspect of it. Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that probably doing it on a larger scale, much more immersive. I don't think it would work the way Jesus Christ Superstar did it, even though I thought it worked for them, as in the arena tour. I thought that worked for that production.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work like that. I agree with you. I do think it needs to be, for certain elements, there needs to be that intimacy.
Yeah, the immersive quality of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. I think Stephen Swartz's music's my standing ovation, to be honest. I think it's some of his best songs, but one in particular, and I don't know why this is a standing ovation, because it would make me weep a lot. It's On the Willows, so everybody has to go and listen to On the Willows, because
we will put it on the playlist.
It is like proper beautiful. That would have been the song I would have chosen to sing if I could get to sing one of the songs that wasn't one of the songs I was singing. Do you have one? or would you stick to your song?
No, I think I would
You
say...
loved your song, didn't you?
I did love it. I did. I think I probably, I was like, oh, I'm trusted to sing a song. It's short. So I was like, I could do that.
But they all are, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think that also helps it in that it keeps it going.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, go, as you say, it was go, go, go. It was a bit manic, and it just, it goes at quite a lick, like. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't, it doesn't drag.
No, but also if you can... I think we did that for some of it. You can, maybe add 2 more bars of whatever song you want to maybe extend that dance number, or if you need to move these people from one side of the stage to the other. So it's very adaptable.
Yeah. It was just like one big party at times, wasn't it? Involved. Yeah. Oh, it also taught me the difference between sheep and goats.
Sorry, what?
Yeah. I can't believe I forgot about this. Yeah,
I can't believe you didn't know the difference between a sheep and a goat.
No, I knew the difference between sheep and goats, but did you know the difference between how they sounded?
Yes.
Okay, so how does a goat sound?
It's like a...
Thank you.
No, I do. And the word is...
Thank you.
Well, no, a sheep is a ba.
Ba.
But a goat is like a pleat.
Ba. So ba for sheep, ba for goats. You're laughing. That is what Godspell taught me. Okay, because one of the parables involved the sheep and the goats, and all of the sheep had to go ba, and all of the goats had to go ba.
What?
See, you get a clanger right at the end of the episode, folks.
Oh.
I can't believe I nearly forgot about that. Yeah. Ba, ba.
There's an actual word for that noise that a goat makes.
I think you're right. Bleating,
bleating, is it?
I don't know. I think so. But it's a ba rather than a ba.
Well, certainly in our accent, ba, ba.
So there you go. Yeah, there's another wee musical lyrical. I don't know if you could call that a musical lyrical, Lingo.
I mean, first you didn't know what Ovaltine was, and then you needed to be told the difference.
Moved on. I still haven't tried it. I'll get back to you. I'll maybe get back to them next week. Next week's going to take a different feel, isn't it, Laura?
I'm excited. I'm excited because you guys have been great at sharing your stories, but those that are allowing us to, we're going to get to share your stories with a wider audience. And there are some crackers. Yeah, there are some...
few clangers in there, isn't there?
Oh my goodness. There's some amazing ones involving us too, and then some, that
as
don't
if
involve...
we haven't embarrassed ourselves enough. Keep us out of your stories, please.
I know, just tell us your own. But I think it's been nice for some of our listeners to actually do what we're doing and revisiting their time.
100%. That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. Certainly for us, it was about looking back over the good days. Not that we're living in the pits of despair. That sounds awful. But but do keep them coming. You've got another week to get to fill the 45-minute episode. So do keep them coming in. How can they get in contact there,
They can DM us, message us on our Instagram, or they can email us to musicallyricallingo@gmail.com.
Yeah, so do keep them coming in. Hopefully it'll be laugh out loud. And then normal service will resume the week after.
Yep, indeed.
So, until then,
goodbye.
Bye.